Sometimes the most urgent moments in life aren't about the things we can touch, but about the people we can't forget. When someone says it's urgent to meet, it's not always about what's at stake, but what's been left unsaid. In a world where time moves too fast, sometimes we need to slow down and listen to the quiet whispers of the heart. Urgency doesn't always mean a rush. It sometimes means waiting for the right moment to truly connect. There are things we don't understand, but when a mother's plea echoes in our hearts, it's a call we cannot ignore. Sometimes the most important conversations are those where words don't need to be spoken at all. It's strange how urgent a feeling can become when it's wrapped in love, especially when it's coming from a mother's heart. Life's true urgency often stems from moments we can't predict, but know we must be part of. Meeting someone for the first time can feel like the most urgent thing in the world, especially when the heart tells you it's time. There are moments in life when everything else fades, and the most urgent thing becomes the need to understand one another. A mother's love has a way of making the most ordinary of requests feel like an urgent call to something much bigger. Urgency isn't always a sign of panic. Sometimes it's a reminder to stop and appreciate the most meaningful connections. When someone says they need you, it's not just an invitation, it's a reminder that we're all part of something far greater. What feels urgent to one person might be a quiet cry for connection to another. The urgency of a call often reflects the importance of the unspoken truths we need to face. When a mother speaks, the urgency in her voice carries the weight of years of care and love. The things we put off today are often the things that matter most tomorrow. Urgency is a funny thing. It turns simple moments into profound, life-changing encounters. When we listen deeply, even the most urgent requests can become moments of healing. Some meetings are inevitable. When they're needed the most, time will bend to bring you together. Sometimes it's not about what you're rushing to, but the quiet understanding you find when you finally arrive. Urgency speaks in many languages, but the heart knows how to translate it best. A mother's plea is the most urgent form of love. It's a reminder of how precious time truly is. The urgency of a moment often makes us realize how fleeting life can be and how important it is to cherish it. The heart doesn't understand time or space. It only knows urgency when it comes to those it loves. There are moments in life when waiting for the right time feels like the most urgent thing you can do. When the world calls you to act urgently, the heart always knows where it needs to go. A mother's request isn't just a call for attention, it's a beacon guiding us to moments we're meant to experience. Urgency in the heart doesn't mean rushing, it means finding that space where everything lines perfectly. Some things feel urgent because they touch the deepest part of who we are. Urgency is not a feeling to fear, but an invitation to step into something that has always been waiting for you. The most urgent things in life often arrive with no warning, only the understanding that they cannot be ignored. When someone you love says it's urgent, it's a chance to listen with more than your ears. Sometimes the rush of life slows down just long enough for you to realize the most urgent thing is simply being present. Urgency doesn't always have to be about speed. It can be about deepening connections that matter. What feels urgent to one person might be a quiet reminder for another to reconnect. In the face of urgency, we often find the clarity we need to understand what's truly important. The urgency of love is often the most quiet, yet powerful force we experience. When someone says it's urgent, it's not just the moment that matters, but the heart that speaks to you. Urgency often comes disguised in the form of a question, a plea, or even a silence that you cannot ignore. A mother's request to meet is never just a simple invitation. It's a door opening to something profound. Urgency isn't about panic. It's about recognizing that some moments are too important to miss. The things that feel most urgent are often those that will change you forever if you let them. When you feel the urgency to meet someone, know that it's more than just time calling, it's destiny knocking. There's an urgency in the heart that speaks louder than words, reminding us of the ties that bind us together. When someone says it's urgent, it's not about the clock ticking, it's about the heart needing to be heard. A mother's urgency isn't just a request, it's a message from the soul, speaking of what matters most. Urgency calls us to look deeper, to understand not just what is happening, but why it matters. Sometimes the most urgent thing we can do is simply show up and listen with our full hearts. In life, urgency often leads us to the places where we need to grow the most. The most urgent feelings often arrive quietly, asking us to pause and reflect on what truly matters. When we hear that something is urgent, it's a call to open our hearts and listen more closely. Urgency doesn't always mean rushing. Sometimes it's about pausing to recognize the moments that matter. A mother's plea to meet is not about time. It's about the need to share something that can't be said alone. The urgency we feel isn't always a signal to move faster. Sometimes it's a call to connect more deeply. In the quiet moments of urgency, we often find the answers we've been seeking all along. Urgency teaches us that some moments are not just worth waiting for, they are worth cherishing forever. The most urgent calls are those we hear with our hearts, not just our ears. Sometimes the urgency is a reminder to take that first step toward something beautiful and unknown. When someone says it's urgent, it's the universe reminding you that time waits for no one, but love can transcend it. Urgency isn't about the clock ticking down. It's about recognizing when life is calling you to something deeper. The most urgent moments often arrive in unexpected ways, changing everything we thought we knew. Sometimes the heart knows what's urgent long before the mind catches up. Urgency whispers, but only those who listen with patience truly understand what it's saying. What seems urgent today will often become a cherished memory tomorrow, if you are brave enough to embrace it. Urgency invites us to take a step, no matter how small, toward something that matters more than anything else. A mother's urgency is never just about the moment. It's about the years of love, waiting to be shared. Urgency often comes to teach us that time doesn't wait for anyone, but love transcends all limits. The urgency of the heart isn't always loud. Sometimes it's the quietest moments that demand the most attention. In moments of urgency, we find our true strength, not in what we rush toward, but in how deeply we connect. Urgency pulls us closer to the people who truly matter, reminding us of the importance of presence over perfection. When urgency fills the air, it's a sign that the universe is aligning you with what your soul has been craving. Sometimes the urgency we feel is the heart's way of guiding us to where we need to be most. True urgency lies not in the event itself, but in the connection we make in those fleeting moments. Urgency can't be ignored, but when embraced, it opens doors to new understandings of love and life. Some meetings feel like they've been waiting lifetimes to happen, and urgency is what brings them to fruition. Urgency calls us to slow down, to take a moment, and to fully absorb the beauty of what's unfolding. When a mother says it's urgent, it's a call to listen not just with your ears, but with your heart. The most urgent things in life often come disguised as quiet moments of revelation. Sometimes the urgency of life reminds us to appreciate the present before it slips away forever. Urgency teaches us that life is too short to wait for the perfect time. It's about taking action now. Every urgent call is a reminder to pay attention to what truly matters, and that's often love, not time. Urgency stirs us to move, but it also asks us to be present, to cherish the now before it's gone. When we feel urgency, we're being asked to realign with our truest selves and those we love. Urgency is the heart's way of pushing us to confront the things we can't put off any longer. In urgent moments, we often see the truth more clearly, for it's the only thing that can guide us forward. What's urgent today may be the foundation for something more lasting tomorrow. The urgency of a moment is a reflection of how deeply it resonates with the soul's longing. Sometimes, the most urgent thing to do is simply to show up and be there for someone who needs you. The heart's urgency is a reminder that not all moments are meant to be planned. They are meant to be felt. Urgency pushes us out of our comfort zones, showing us that life is about embracing the unknown. When life calls for urgency, it's not to create stress, but to help us recognize what's truly worth our time. Urgency doesn't always mean a rush. It's about realizing that some things are too important to put off. When you sense urgency, listen closely. It's often your heart asking you to take a leap into something beautiful. In the urgency of a moment, we often discover parts of ourselves that were hiding just beneath the surface. Urgency invites us to take a step without looking back, to trust that the path ahead will reveal itself.